This is a most unusual experience for Kevin Langley. Technically, he's still an Everton player, but now on loan to Manchester City and fully committed to the fight to avoid relegation, even though he'll receive a League Championship medal if Everton win the title. Paul Power will also be trying to keep his emotions under control. A City man through and through for 14 years until he joined Everton last summer. Power slots into the left of midfield because Kevin Sheedy limped out of last week's Merseyside derby defeat. Pat van den Hauwe plugs the gap at left back. Peter Reid missed England's trip to Turkey in midweek, but he's been past fit. So too has striker Wayne Clark. George Courtney, the referee, arrived back home from taking charge of the midweek European Championship International between Holland and Hungary, expecting to be playing golf this afternoon. Yesterday, though, he was called up to take over from the injured Neville Ashley. Anything less than a victory will send Manchester City back to the second division. They're here in a change strip of red and black checks, a very ornate design, but it's what's inside the shirt that matters for them here. Snowden took it cleverly and ran away from Langley, and that wasn't far away. The first real shot in anger from Everton at Eric Nixon's goal. And Ian Snowden had done well to get to this point. Looking for his first league goal for Everton. He scored for them in the FA Cup since he's moved from Leeds. May. Now beating Snowden. Then van den Hauwe above Verratti. Langley. Cut off though by Stevens. Heath. Wilson's intervention for Manchester City. Watson and Langley, that was a fiercely committed challenge. It went Everton's way. And McCarthy almost came through Snowden, but the referee saw nothing wrong. George Courtney, always an official who gives the game a chance of flowing. Simpson. And Verratti nearly sneaking in. Both Watson and eventually Ratcliffe made contact. As Simpson got the ball in such a position, it wasn't the best hit cross, but both central defenders for Everton were facing their own goal. Flicked off Watson, and then Ratcliffe just took it from Verratti back to the goalkeeper. Good jump by Redmond. Wilson blocked by Stephen. Both sides committed here to a 4-4-2 formation. So there are plenty of individual battles to be won and lost, particularly in that congested midfield area. Van den Hauwe. Everton for the moment without Reid, who stayed down injured. Now just runs the ball past Peter Reid, who's still on all fours, and Paul Stewart with some possibilities here. Watson slapping it away back where it had come from. Stewart again. And now both physios will be required. Stewart is the injured City player. But the damage a little bit more lasting to Reid, who sustained a shin problem at Anfield last week, and that's why he didn't travel with England. But he forced himself into a tackle that got the ball for Everton, but he stayed down, and it may have been just a blow to the face by Neil McNabb, who was the player just competing for City. It looked an accident from here. And Howard Kendall knows how important Peter Reid is out there. Just behind him is the Everton doctor, in fact. You might be wondering whether he ought to check on proceedings. John Klinkard at the moment, trying to reassure himself that Peter Reid is okay. Well, maybe it's more than that. And the doctor goes down. Alan Harper watching from the sidelines as to whether he'll be required. Well, Alan Harper is well equipped to fill the gap if Reid can't resume. But clearly his senses have been disturbed by that collision with Neil McNabb. He had loosened a tooth or two, but he wants to come back on. There's no doubt about that. Handball by Parr, which will give Peter Reid the opportunity to return. When you think that in Mexico, during the World Cup with England, he actually had a stress fracture and still performed, a little bang to the face isn't going to stop him. Heath. Just playing it a little bit tentatively. No chances for Everton here. It's the right policy, although the crowd don't really approve of it. Both centre-backs were being pressed by their opposite numbers in terms of the players they mark, Varady and Stewart. Manchester City, though, have got through the first 20 minutes of the bottom versus top clash unscathed. Stewart. Here's Clark. Furthest forward for Everton is Adrian Heath. It was a difficult ball for him to deal with. Clements providing the cover. Back at right back, his former position, because of an injury to John Gidman. Helped on by Reid, met though by Wilson. Langley, who's doing a good holding job in the middle of midfield so far for City. Both sides, though, guilty of making mistakes. Nixon says he wants it, and it was right at the edge of his area. Well, it was a strong call, and it did work out for Eric Nixon. And that's a push, a charge right into the back of Clark by Redmond. Again, Watson is the target, and he beat McCarthy to it. Snowden. Heath is onside. McCarthy, and then Clements. Making sure that City keep their goal intact. But it was a moment to raise the hopes of the Evertonians. Snowden. McCarthy found himself in the right place again. Varady's got to hold it up, and that's a bit difficult to do with Ratcliffe nibbling away. But the damage seemed only to a trampled hand. Kevin Ratcliffe, one of the few players remaining at Goodison Park from the days when Varady was a player here. Ratcliffe again, but straight to May. But now Snowden. Everton might have to bide their time to get players forward. Arriving on the far side is Stephen. But every little groan of disappointment around Goodison Park is music to the ears of the Manchester City players. troubles. Manchester City have been blessed again by tremendous support, and they come here in their hundreds again. Simpson. Will that come for Stewart? Got there before Ratcliffe and hit it pretty true. Southall in just the right place, having narrowed the angle. Stewart found by Paul Simpson, and before Ratcliffe could get across, he took the shot early. And it may be here sound medical sense to say enough is enough for all Peter Reid's bravery. As Reid goes down the tunnel, Alan Harper is preparing himself. Power. Now Vanden Hauwe. Three waiting for the cross for Everton, flicked on by Heath. Stevens. But the referee had blown for a foul by Clark. Everton, with 16 minutes of the first half remaining, can make their substitution. It's Alan Harper for the unlucky Peter Reid. But how popular he has become here, Harper. Seemed a year ago he would be leaving because he couldn't get a regular place. He's played a lot of games this season in a variety of positions and been more than just a stopgap. Good climb by Stevens, and for his pains he got a little kick after the ball had gone from Stewart, which fortunately for the Manchester City man George Courtney didn't see. Harper. McCarthy has been a dominant figure. Wilson. Shortage of his own belief for his skill on the ball. Oh, and it's played back by Redmond, so close to Heath. And City nearly committing suicide then. What was Steve Redmond thinking about? Redmond, after the tidy work from Wilson, just played it there and he couldn't have looked, and Heath was, what, a boot's length away. Well, Snowden did give it away, but he will maybe argue that the players around him didn't take up quite the right positions. Half-time must be very shortly upon us, and it's been an anxious first 45 minutes for Everton, a battling 45 minutes for Manchester City, typified by the work of big Mick McCarthy at the back. Everton, having lost the guidance and the inspiration of Peter Reid, will be hoping for some improvement in the second half. At half-time at Goodison Park, it's Everton 0, Manchester City 0. Play at Main Road when these two clubs met in November, a 3-1 success, but it's been by no means the same story in the first half here. City still have to play Nottingham Forest at home, and they finish away at West Ham, while Everton go away to Norwich and then have two home games against Luton and Tottenham. ground to suggest there may be news of other matches affecting the top and the bottom of the table. Plenty of supporters I saw coming into the ground with their transistor radios. Here's he. And Trevor Steven, and that flew behind for the corner off McCarthy again. Power to take the corner. Stewart doing the defending. It drops only as far as Harper. Clark. Watson! It was an opportunity set up by Wayne Clark for Dave Watson. Hit deep by Power. Clark backpedaled well to get the header down. Watson had to take it quickly and couldn't keep it down. Very interested spectator. Just scratching the chin there, Joe Mercer, a former Everton player and a former Manchester City manager. One of the game's all-time greats. Beautifully laid off by Clark. Stephen looking to run Wilson this time, but Wilson is quick. But Stephen has got the better of him and was tripped. Certainly was tripped. So a let-off for City. And Stephen got the better of Wilson again. Here's Harper. Keith making one of those runs across the line of defenders, but the ball wasn't quite delivered right for him. Everton not making a fuss about the penalty that wasn't given, just getting on with the job and still trying to force a breakthrough. Gary Stevens. McCarthy will head him away however hard they come. And on the break now is Simpson. And Stewart is free if the pass is right, and it might well just be that. Paul Stewart against the bar. And Manchester City and the First Division could perhaps part company because of that incident. That's how close things are. At one end, Everton have a penalty appeal turned down, and at the other, Simpson with a delightful ball for Stewart. It could hardly have been played better. Past Southall, crashing out off the bar. After the blow to the pride, when it was all set up, it seemed, for Everton to virtually clinch the title and kill Liverpool off at Anfield. Nothing could have been further from the truth on the day. Van den Hauw. Power. Cut out by McNabb. He's got Varady to his left. And goes his own way. And it wasn't a bad strike because Southall found it coming to him on the bounce. It was a pugnacious little run from McNabb. And a swerving shot that tested Neville Southall. Redmond. Well played. Stewart's dummy. It's McNabb who is the beneficiary. Varady's in the middle. A real chance for City. And Simpson can only reflect on what might have been. There were two bearing in front of the goal to try and convert McNabb's cross, and it beat both Varady and at the last Simpson. himself in front of Redmond. The crowd begging Stephen to get the cross in, and Snowden miscued. In fact, it hasn't gone out of play, and it was brilliantly retrieved by Trevor Stephen. Clark! Well, Snowden's miss-hit almost unsettled Everton, and when Stephen got it back, it looped over from Clark. But a miss is as good as a mile. Trevor Stephen has won the throw off Wilson. As the sun comes out, will it shine now on the potential champions? Brandon Howe. One for Gary Stevens to chase, and he is quick. It was Redmond who blocked the first one. And the way out for City is with Paul Simpson. It's a great break by Stevens down the right, and he's out of position. Varady. It's another chance that slips away. Another opportunity for the lifeline for City to cling to. And it all stemmed really because Gary Stevens was still catching his breath after getting behind City at the other end. And Varady beat the covering player Vanden Hauwe. The angle was against him, and that was very, very close. But Everton a little slow to go forward, although Stephen has taken up exactly the right position now. Clark going to the near post, but he's had to check now as the cross was delayed. And in the pack, it was Andy May who got the highest. The corner played short, and City a little slow to close Stephen down. Varady will get it out, only as far as Harper. He has scored some crucial goals, not very many, but he does tend to get them on the big occasion. One in the FA Cup semi-final last year, I remember, and this one, had it gone in from Alan Harper, would have given him the freedom of the borough. Watson. It was a foul by McCarthy. There's still time, is there, for Everton? Maybe Gary Stevens with the shot. When the wall is back to be full distance. Power and Stevens set up Gary Stevens, and Langley was there. Brandon Howell's throw. Heath and Nixon has missed very little. Just one or two moments of uncertainty on the occasional cross, and the whistle that goes isn't the final whistle, it's for Wayne Clark to be treated, and some sporting applause, rightly so, for Nixon, who kicked the ball out. What a day it's been for Everton. Peter Reid off after only half an hour, and unable to break down the bottom club in the First Division. Graham Sharp and Kevin Sheedy may be available for forthcoming games for Everton, and they've been missed. Clark having to come second to the goalkeeper. Fell awkwardly. And hopes that's not a slight dislocation there. He's still holding his collarbone, Wayne Clark. Another twist to the drama in the championship race. Everton held at home by the club that came here bottom in the First Division, and Manchester City stare relegation in the face, but they'll remember a battling performance here in which Paul Stewart wrapped the Everton crossbar in the second half, and they never allowed Everton to produce their best. A final score at Goodison Park, with other results now holding the key. Everton 0, Manchester City 0.